Jordan Moore alongside El Mariachi,
Yes,
Sean
nice.
Cody.
That's good.
Looking sharp. Just a Halloween king. I honestly disappointed myself.
Me too.
I mean, Max, I don't know what I expected from you, but
Consistency.
Sean Cody winning Halloween as always. The quarterback Max Brown with us, and the head coach Lincoln Riley, fresh off another win. USC's head coach interview is presented by I Trust Capital. Retire with crypto. Coach, the trick you pulled off was over 600 yards of total offense despite missing a bunch of key guys. How were you able to do it on Saturday?
Yeah, had a lot of guys step up and respond. I mean, really on all three sides. We had probably more than any game this year had more guys in different roles, unique roles, guys stepping up. Had to adjust quite a bit throughout the week and even on game day as it went through. And I give a lot of those guys that stepped up a lot of credit. I mean, that's honestly probably a game that we don't win without that. And you kind of knew. I mean, it was. Arizona had really, if you watched them, they'd really been playing kind of better and better as the season went on. With the homecoming, the night game, coming off the bye week, I mean, all that. You knew it was going to be, a game that you were going to get their very best. And, they certainly presented a lot of challenges, which we talked about throughout the week. And, and so then for our guys to go in that, overcome all that they did was very important. And we got key contributions really on all the sides, and that's what you need to win tough road games.
Coach, a couple of firsts for your guys. You mentioned a little bit bye week, coming off your first loss as a team. How did you like your players' response, and especially your leaders' response after those two circumstances you hadn't faced before?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was good the week after. I mean, we went at it during the bye week. We were very, very aggressive, and I think that was important because we needed to take steps. I felt like the week of prep for Arizona was good, But we said it all the last 2 weeks, so we'll find out on Saturday, right? And I think the time I was really proud of us was at halftime. The halftime locker room was, our guys were jacked. Like they really didn't even want to go into halftime at that point. Just kind of with the way the half ended, and our guys were extremely excited to play and very confident walking out of that locker room at halftime. They were really, really ready to go, and it was cool to see them kind of respond in that moment with some of the things, obviously, that had went against them, and mentally they were very ready to play.
The adversity before the end of the first half was well documented, but what was your message to the guys at half? If they're so fired up, what were those conversations like? Yeah,
just I didn't want to do anything to temper it, but just reminding them that this is road football. That's what it's like. That happened. That we had to control what we could control in that moment, and there was going to be plenty left in that game for us to control and go win it. And they were good. They didn't need to, honestly, halftime, they didn't need to hear a lot from me. I mean, they were ready to play.
You're listening to the head coach Lincoln Riley on Trojans Live. Another impeccable performance by your quarterback Caleb Williams, 5 touchdowns. No interceptions, 10 touchdowns, no interceptions over his last 2 games. Would you describe his improvement over the season as steady, or was there a moment that you can point to where you really feel like he turned a corner at all this season? How would you sort of describe his first 8 games and his growth over that?
Yeah, pretty steady. I mean, it's and it typically is. I mean, that's there's not usually the Hollywood moment, now I can know how to play quarterback. It happens gradually, and it doesn't mean that every single game statistically is going to be this, but you kind of see little things as they go through, and guys get in unique situations, and he's improved, and I'm proud of how he's played the last few weeks, but I'm more excited that he did it on the road the last 2 weeks, and that's a sign of a quarterback that's growing and maturing, and understanding his guys, continuing to get better within the system, understanding the different scenarios you're going to be at in the road, the different adversities you're going to face, different challenges defensively, and it's been cool to see him respond. And so this was, he took a big step against Utah and played well in that game, and then the other night against Arizona, it was kind of like that, but it was more complete. It was a more complete performance from beginning to end.
Coach, coming into the game, you knew you were going to be out with 2 wide receivers, without Mario Williams and without Jordan Addison. What's it like going to the game? Are you, let's get this guy going? I mean, obviously Kyle Ford and Taj Washington have a big game for you. Is that more like we're going to try to get these certain guys going, or is it just kind of say, let's see who's going and who's the hot hand, and we'll feed that hot hand?
Yeah, and honestly, really, Mario was a surprise. We felt like Mario would play up until pregame warmups, and so we had to adjust and pivot there a little bit. Unfortunately, we've got some guys in that room that were ready to go, and so we planned on, if that happened, to move Bynum inside and play him a bunch there, which we did, and I give Bynum a lot of credit. And I mean, he played very well for us, and to be able to flip kind of on a moment's notice there was important for us. He's one of our smartest, kind of most mature receivers, so it was very key for us that he was able to play well. And obviously, yeah, Kyle Ford and Rice. I mean, we've needed a little more out of that X position, and those guys got a lot of opportunities and made a lot of them, which was very, very important. Especially obviously they both had some big plays, but like the competitive plays, like the slant ball that Rice caught, the first fade ball that Kyle Ford catches on the third down, like those were extremely important plays. And then Taj kind of just honestly continued doing what he's been doing. I mean, he's been playing his tail off and got a few more opportunities, and continues to be one of the most valuable players on this football team.
You have the road win in Corvallis against Oregon State, and then obviously what you got on Saturday in Tucson against Arizona. And obviously I feel like you'd want to blow out a team every single week, 50-0, but there's something about those close, gritty wins on the road. Why is winning in that fashion so valuable when you're building the team throughout the season?
Well, I think you get challenged in different ways. I mean, all of our road games have kind of been different. We separated quite a bit from Stanford. We were down, basically the whole game and had to claw our way back against Oregon State. And then we had the lead most of this game, but we kind of hovered right there between, all right, are we going to separate? And, in the second half, had a couple opportunities on all the sides to separate and really blow them out. And we were able to separate a little bit, but not enough to just totally, obviously, kind of wipe them out. And but it was cool to see us finish in a different way, again, with unique challenges. And you're right. Listen, we want perfection more than anybody, more than any fan, more than any supporter. I mean, we want every single play, and but at the end of the day, you got to find ways to do it. And the reality is, obviously, that's a much improved team. I mean, that's probably the most elusive quarterback in the country, and a really challenging set of receivers. And I thought, especially in the first half, we did a pretty darn good job covering them. I mean, they made some phenomenal individual plays that, great plays. Some of them, hey, man, you tip your hat and you go on to the next play. And certainly there's some that plenty within our control, especially some of the explosives in the second half that we know we have to be better at. But that's road ball against teams with good players. And, finding ways to win those and win them in different ways is very, very important.
You also had the injury on offensive line to Andrew Voorhees. You decided to change two spots there. Mason Murphy comes in at right tackle, and then you slide Jonah Monheim in. What went into that decision, and how did you feel like the offensive line played as a whole?
Yeah, Mason's been repping for us some on that side, and we thought he came in and did a nice job. We did. He really battled for us. His first career start, and did a nice job, and was proud of the way he played. He'll continue to get better, but we've been saying it. I mean, he's one of our most talented young guys, and it's been good for him to be around some of our veterans that are kind of grinders, tough guys. They really kind of handle their business like pros, and Mason's needed to learn that, like most freshmen. Like he came in, he had no clue how to prepare. Had no clue what in his mind was working and what really working looks like were two different things. And you see some of those wires starting to connect. And again, it's the culture within the team. There's a good culture in that offensive line room right now, and that's been good for him, and it's helped him progress. And we felt like that he was ready to play on that right side. And then I can't say enough about Jonah. I mean, Jonah goes in there and grades 95% at his first start ever at right guard. I mean, the guy's, he's, another guy that's been, he's one of the best players on our team.
Coach, you decided to roll the dice there a little bit, onside kick, try to gain a possession. What went into that decision when you were going there?
We had a penalty on the touchdown, and we had a look that we liked, and thought we hit a pretty decent ball. It's just sometimes you get that hop and sometimes you don't, and the ball just kind of continued to stay low. We never got that kind of last hop that we traditionally get, and but felt like it was the right time to take a shot, and that's the nature of those, right? They're a gamble, but we felt like it was the right time for it.
The play to Taj Washington at the end of the first quarter, deep ball, explosive play, great ball by Caleb Williams. You came back to that same exact play call later.
Traditionally get, and but felt like it was the right time to take a shot, and that's the nature of those, right? They're a gamble, but we felt like it was the right time for it.
The play to Taj Washington at the end of the first quarter, deep ball, explosive play, great ball by Caleb Williams. You came back to that same exact play call later on in the game for the touchdown. Is that call something that's always in your playbook, or was specifically dialed up to attack what you're seeing on Arizona's defense?
It was a little more specific. I wouldn't say it's a mainstream play for us, but no, I think just something taking advantage of. What we felt like we could attack offensively, but also just some of the skill sets that we have. And, our guys did a good job executing it. I mean, you got to have good protection on it, and we did. And, we caught it in a couple different looks, and guys executed at a high level. It was, one shot was obviously a little bit more competitive, and the other one we had to hang in there and make a tough throw. And it was cool to see us execute it. And I think a lot of it's just been the confidence that Taj gives us. I mean, we have a lot of confidence in that kid that whatever job it is, and you name it. I mean, he's got about 50 different jobs on this team, it feels like, and he's good at all of them, and he's extremely reliable. So I think more and more he's a guy that we're wanting to get involved because, again, he is so reliable and so tough.
Your injuries on defense are really concentrated right now. At least it seems like in the linebacker spot. We saw some interesting formations. We saw Thule lined up in linebacker sometimes. We saw Max Williams coming up at linebacker. Those are two very different sized human beings playing in that spot. What went into the defensive game plan in trying to sort of cover for an area where you're obviously hit with some depth issues right now?
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it is. We have the players that we have right now, and it's not like you can go out and hit a couple free agents right now. I mean, it's when you get down, there's still going to be a football game, and we felt like we've had some good depth in the secondary, and thought it made sense against a group like that. And so, and honestly, a lot of the times our guys handled that package very well, and proud of Max stepping in there, proud of Bryson Shaw stepping in there. Obviously, he had a tremendous night for us, and. So obviously, the plan is and hope is we'll get back to our full strength there pretty quickly, and then kind of have all options available. And but it was cool to see, our guys be able to transition like that. And like I said, when our dime package was in, we played pretty well.
Well, up next for the Trojans is the homecoming game this Saturday night against Cal. It's presented by Wells Fargo. It'll kick at 7:30 p.m. It'll be on ESPN right here on the USC Trojans Media Network. The Trojan Tailgate Show back from the Coliseum floor at 5:30. Trojans Live, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, and the head coach, Lincoln Riley. Appreciate you sticking with us. The Trojans will take on Cal on Saturday night. Another old rival for USC, your first time taking on Cal here as the head coach. And their head coach is a former USC DC, so somebody that we know very well, Justin Wilcox, particularly looking at his defense and Peter Sermon's defense. What makes it unique?
Well, you can just tell watching them, they're really well coached, which is no shock. I mean, given Justin's reputation, kind of what you would expect, right? I mean, they've got a scheme you can tell they very much believe in, and they have certainly enough wrinkles to make it very challenging, where they're tough to get a beat on, and their guys. You can just tell guys are really well coached because you go look at like the explosive play numbers, and you look at how they've been able to hold down some really good offenses for some pretty serious stretches of time. Like they're a really good defense. I mean, they are. They play their stuff very well. They know where the strengths are. They know where the weaknesses are. They know how to cover it up. And they've been able to do it with a lot of new faces this year. And to me, which is a sign of really good coaching. And so. I mean, going up and playing a team with that defensive reputation, it's no shock to turn on the film and see what you see. So it's a challenge. I'd say it's a defense that really makes you earn yards and points, that executes very well and doesn't beat themselves.
Coach, we got November football coming up back home in the Coliseum after 2 road games. What's the message to the guys? I mean, this is where they count the most, right? I mean, obviously the ones count before, but November is when teams start rising to the cream of the crop starts rising to the top. What have you told these guys about what November means to this football team?
Yeah, I mean, you do all that work throughout the year and, the first half and a little bit more of that now through the season to put yourself in a position where they are meaningful, right? I mean, if you hadn't done your job up to this point, they're not quite as meaningful, or there's not quite as much riding on them. And so, our team has done that. We've put ourselves in a great position. We're back home now here, home here for the next couple of weeks, obviously in the LA area here for the next month. Yep. And we've got an awesome opportunity in front of us, but we've got 4 big challenges. We need to, we know the things that we're doing well and the areas where we're doing some really nice things. We've got to continue that. There's still a lot to build on for this football team on all 3 sides, and there's still so much out there for us, and not just in terms of like what we can win, but more just in terms of like how much better that we can get as a football team. Mm-hmm. And we're on a race against time. And when you're on that race, you don't worry about, well, we've been going at it for this many months, or we've been practicing this many straight days, or blah blah blah. You got to truly make the most of each day, because in reality, a lot of teams this time of year eliminate themselves. Right? They'll crack, they'll break, they'll get tired of getting coached, they'll get tired of doing the little things right. And majority of teams eliminate themselves and don't even give themselves a chance. They might not even know it. Yeah. We got to be very self-aware of who we are right now, the things that we got to get better at, and be very real about what it's going to take and what we can't afford to kind of miss out on. And I mean, it's like anything that we've done from day one. Staff's got to lay it out in front of the guys. The guys got to take it and run with it, and that'll be our challenge to continue to do that.
When you say there's a lot of room for these guys to get better at our team, is that the case with every team you coach every single year, that you get to that November 1st date and it's, hey, man, the season's flying by, but we still have so much to tap into? Or is this team unique in that regard, in that there is still so much ceiling left to tap into?
No, I don't think we're unique in that. I mean, I think the best teams get better this time of year, because I do think a lot of teams get worse this time of year. I really do. Again, it's human nature, it's complacency, it's getting tired of the same old thing, it's bodies getting sore, it's the monotony. I mean, it just happens. It's everybody that hoot and hollered and rah before the season, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, blah blah blah, and then go talk to me week 9 and you don't hear a peep. And it's only real for some. And the more you got in your locker room that's real, the more leaders that you have in there. I think the more coaches you have that have been through these and been a part of some successful runs, I mean, it helps. And I mean, it's our challenge. It is, and it's a fun challenge. It's a great time of year to be right in the middle of it. And frankly, it's where we expected to be. And here we are, and we'll see what we do.
One question we talked about in the broadcast that I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned earlier, Jaden DeLauro, super elusive. Obviously, we've seen Caleb all season, his sort of Houdini act in the backfield. What's the technique? It seems like we see so many guys come in and miss. And is that almost something that needs to be, that the coaching needs to be changed, or just sort of rethought with how many mobile quarterbacks there are now, and just it's like it's not even good enough to just come clean, because you can't even get that guy down if you were the only 2 people in the ring?
Well, the thing I would compare it for people is like, go watch a great back like a Barry Sanders or a Marshall Faulk, or all those guys. How often they get tackled in the open field?
And now they're playing quarterback.
Well, and not only that, but all right, how often did you see Barry Sanders with 6 yards of space? Like, these guys aren't playing tailback, right? I mean, you could execute a stunt or a blitz perfectly. You come through and you've got an elite athlete that's got 7 or 8 yards of space. I mean, it's a challenge. And I mean, the thing with like DeLauro is, we sat there and watched every single team that's played them go through the same thing. Yeah. And I mean, the reality is, you've got to, it's a fine line. Like Shane Lee had a great one in the game on the one he sacked, where you've got to obviously be aggressive to get there, or you won't get there in time to disrupt the throw, and he still completes the pass. But there does have to be an element of, you do have to be under control, because he is such an elite athlete. And then obviously the more that you can get multiple guys home, or you can get, even if a guy doesn't get home, you condense the pocket to where, maybe there's one free guy and he can make that guy miss, but if you cut down on the space, there's just less he can do with it. And so, like a lot of ours, like you're gonna take your shots. It's like, you think of like a great punt returner. you always teach the first guy down. You want him to take his shot because you want the rest of the net there to be able to grab him. You want to make him go sideways. A lot of times the first guy's got to take that shot. If he gets them, that's phenomenal. But if he doesn't, that's where the rest of your rush and your pass rush lanes have got to hold up. Your coverage has got to hold up. And yeah, are there some times we wish we got him down one-on-one? Well, hell yeah, there is. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, all right, the other parts have to hold up too. And there's more of an all-11 kind of point of view to that. So there's certainly coaching on all of it, but I think for us, we've got to constrict the space better against a guy like that. And then we've got to be able to hang on in coverage just a little bit longer because we were agonizingly close to getting him multiple times.
Feel like he got out of the game at just the right time, Sean? That must be maddening for defensive linemen.
Yeah, I was missing him back then too, so it didn't help me at all.
And it really has changed. Like you think about it, nobody would, back many years ago, nobody's going to recruit a quarterback under 6'2", 6'3". And listen, let's be honest, there's not many guys on the planet that are 6'2", 6'3 plus that move like Caleb does or like Delora does. There's a number of them right now. It is a new challenge. It is like playing a tailback that can throw back there, and it does. It puts stress on all parts of your defense, but you've got to, you got to adjust and you got to continue to get better. And we've had our opportunities, and we're going to see more guys that are talented that way, and we'll have to get better at it.
Yep, it is definitely not more than a trend. It is the new world of football. So fun to watch, hard to tackle for sure. USC will take their shot on Saturday night. USC versus Cal, presented by Wells Fargo. Kick is at 7:30.